Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to the Carnage Report. This is CD acquisition video number 3. I know it's been a while, but I was collecting things at different locations, and actually the thrift store near where I live was going out of business, and so I ended up picking up a lot of stuff that I wouldn't normally get because it was ridiculously cheap. And it goes to charity, so it doesn't hurt. But yeah, so I have quite a bit to show you, like something like, I don't know, I think it's like 30 CDs here. And amongst the ones that I wouldn't normally pick up, I did pick up groups of them. So these are things I might not ever actually listen to, but some I'm actually interested in checking out from bands that I like one or two songs from. And so obviously I can't go into much depth with those, but I will try. So right off the bat, I ended up with 3 Mighty Mighty Bosstones albums. I don't particularly like ska, but the couple of songs I know from the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, I do enjoy. I'm pretty sure my ska ends with Mighty Mighty Bosstones, a little bit of Real Big Fish, and a very small amount of No Doubt that would even be considered ska. So, but yeah, obviously this is Let's Face It. That's the one that has the hit impression that I get on it. And I ended up with Devil's Night Out and Don't Know How to Party. I believe these are before the hit album that I showed first, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm seeing 1993 and I can't find it. Okay. But I thought I saw that The Devil's Night Out is the first album. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. But yeah, so we're just going to go right down the line here, because there are definitely things that I don't normally listen to. Here's one of them. I picked up 2 Death Cab for Cutie albums. That's showing reflection from my computer screen. This one's Transatlanticism. I don't know any songs off this, but the one Death Cab for Cutie song I like is On Plans, because I like I Will Follow You Into the Dark. I think it's a sweet song. Tom will appreciate this. I think they have a third. They might have more by this point, but I picked up the first 2 All American Rejects albums. I do kind of like All American Rejects. At least most of the stuff that most of the singles, at least especially from these 2 albums. I like most of the hits. They're very catchy, pop rock, pop punk. The first album I actually got from a friend when it first came out, and I enjoy it. They're kind of on the low end of the spectrum for me for pop punk, which I actually do like quite a bit of. And as evidenced through, this is one of my more preferred pop punk acts. I found these wicked cheap. The 2 Bowling for Soup albums that I know. I know they have like 6 or 7, but this is Drunk Enough to Dance, and I believe this is the one that has 1985 on it. Nope, I was wrong. This is the one that has Girl the Bad Guys Want on it. And A Hangover You Don't Deserve, this is the one that has 1985 on it. And there are a lot of good songs on both these albums. For the style they do, the content and the musicianship that goes into their music, along with it being super fucking catchy, is really good. Pop punk in general. Bowling for Soup usually gets overlooked because they only had those couple of hits and it was quite some time ago. But they're still trucking. Opposite end. I picked up 2 Fall Out Boy albums. I admittedly I don't like any of the new stuff. Although I heard Light 'Em Up enough where I was like, this is okay. But anything else I've heard in the last several years, I didn't like. I don't think I know... Oh, wait, this has Sugar We're Going Down on it. I know that song. But I believe it's on Infinity on High, which has a weird CD case. It's long up top. I don't understand. Like, it's made like a book, and it has these cards in them. But this one, I believe, has This Ain't a Scene... It's an arms race, which I actually really like. It was in, I believe, Rock Band, so I heard it quite a bit when I was playing Rock Band with friends heavily, and I got really into that song, but I don't know. I'm sure I know something else from that album, but I'm drawing a blank on it. This is a band, I picked up 3 albums from them, and I know one song. But I like the one song I know. There's another band that fell into the pop rock, pop punk bands of the early 2000s. Unwritten Law. This is the album that has wait. Oh, wait. Is it on 2 albums? It is on 2 albums. That's weird. I wonder if this is a live album. I'm not sure what this is. It's Music in High Places, but it has Seeing Red on the back. But I know that Seeing Red is on Elva. So, I'm actually not sure what this is. This might be a live album. But yeah, so I picked up Music in High Places. I got Elva, and I got this one over here that's Here to the Morning. So, I will actually check these out, because I like Seeing Red. So, I want to see if they have anything else worth listening to. I'm sure if there are any fans who respond to this video, you will let me know that I am an idiot and I should be listening to Unwritten Law. Live. 2 more albums from Live. Oh, I should probably separate them. Let's see. One's, this one I don't know if I know any stuff from. This looked like it was one of their first albums. It's Mental Jewelry. But Throwing Copper, everyone knows songs from Throwing Copper. If you know anything... If you are at all familiar with 90s alternative rock, you know stuff from Throwing Copper. Fucking, I'm gonna make me look at it. I Alone, Lightning Crashes, All Over You, and there was another big one. I think it was Selling the Drama. Big album in the 90s. I like a lot of this album. I don't like live when they go super ballady, but their harder stuff, although All Over You is, the lyrics in that song are fucking stupid. But I do think they're Christian rock, I believe. But yeah, their ballady stuff I'm not super crazy about, but stuff that gets a little harder, I do like live, and I do like the vocalist. He reminds me a lot of the guy from Fuel, and Fuel's a band I really like. But now we got the stack of singular albums. Sparkle and Fade from Everclear. I like Everclear a bit. The first 2 albums, I don't actually know. I say that I don't know if there's an album before this. There might be. But this one and So Much for the Afterglow, I do like. Despite the fact that they, I can't remember, after that they had that album with Everything to Everyone, I think. No, wait. Yeah, maybe. Sorry, I'm trying to just think off the top of my head. And then they had that cover of Brown Eyed Girl, and by that point, I didn't care anymore. But yeah, I like Everclear, and this album has Santa Monica on it, which is an awesome single. I am not super familiar with this album, though. I know like 2 songs. But I am familiar with So Much for the Afterglow, and I wanted to check this out. This one gets a lot of praise, and I never quite got it. As much as I like Astro Creep 2000, this is La Sesorcista. The album before it, the one that has Black Sunshine and Thunder Kiss 65. I like parts of this album. I do. But there's more than... I don't want to say more. Half the album I don't like. I just don't... I can't get into it. But when they started bringing in industrial elements in Astro Creep 2000 and all the soundtrack cuts that happened around then, and Feed the Gods, which I think was actually this era. But yeah, I liked that a lot more going into Rob Zombie's first album, which is awesome, and then everything subsequently gets less and less interesting, and everything took a nosedive after the second Rob Zombie album. Sinister Urge is okay. It's average. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it that much. But everything after that's fucking garbage. I think the stripped album, what the fuck was it called? Educated Horses. The one that had... God, I don't like the song, but it's... Foxy Foxy. Okay, that took me way too long to think of, but it's a shitty song. That song fucking blows, and there was another single from it, but there was one song on the album called American Witch that was actually alright. And if the rest of the album had even remotely sounded like that, I would have been fine with it. But I know I'm just going on a tangent here. But yeah, everything after Educated Horses, there was Hellbilly Deluxe 2, which fucking sucks. And there was that last album that had a name that didn't need to exist, and I don't remember what it's called. But anyways, yeah, Zombie for me is Astro Creep 2000 and Hellbilly Deluxe. Bits of La Exorcista and bits of Sinister Urge. And some of the older White Zombie stuff's not bad. I'm gonna draw a blank on all of the older stuff. Make Them Die Slowly, I've heard. It's okay. If you want something hilariously bad quality to listen to, hunt down Gods on Voodoo Moon. That's their first album. It was from like 1985. But yeah, Soul Crusher and Make Them Die Slowly were okay. But very underproduced because nobody knew who they were and they didn't have a budget for anything. They were kind of part of the whole New York noise rock scene. And so, hey, look, hip hop. I don't have much hip hop. But if it's not the first, it's very close to being the first Redman album. I can't quite remember. I do like Redman. He's entertaining. His rapping isn't all that great, and there was that short period of time where he was remotely popular and he guested on a whole lot of stuff. But I like him, and he doesn't take himself too seriously. And when I was younger, I tried to listen to a lot of him and Method Man because I thought that would be the type of hip hop I would get into. Turns out it's horrorcore, like Brother Lynch. And but Redman I always felt was better than Method Man. Method Man has a couple of good songs, and I was never a Wu-Tang fan. You can boo me if you want. But I liked Redman, and There's a Dark Side is actually, despite the fact that this is part of my CD acquisitions video, I actually used to have this album quite some time ago, and I listened to it several times, and I really liked it. But let's see here. Toad the Wet Sprocket, Dulcinea? I'm going to go with that. This is the Toad the Wet Sprocket album that actually has a song that I know on it. I never knew much about them. I used to work with a guy who was super crazy about him. The thing is, he made fun of my bands, and then he was like, "You should listen to Toad the Wet Sprocket," because I would totally listen to you after you said that. But I used to hear Something's Always Wrong on the radio, and I think that's actually the only Toad the Wet Sprocket album or song I can really tell that it's them. I don't know if I've heard anything else, or if I have heard it, I don't realize it's Toad the Wet Sprocket. But I like Something's Always Wrong, so I was happy to to find the album that had that song on it and see if there's anything else on it that I would be interested in. I have not listened to it yet, but I will. This is an album I actually know, and I like. Bush's 16 Stone, their first album, the big album. The one that has Everything's In, and Machine Head, and Glycerin, and Come Down? Is that the name of the album song? Yes. Come Down and Little Things. It also has Bomb and Swim, and there's another song I like, and I don't remember what it is. Monkey, I believe. But yeah, this album's awesome, and thing is, I like Bush, minus their recent resurgence, which actually isn't Bush, it's just Gavin Rossdale using Bush with a hired band. It's kind of like the New Fuel. But yeah, new Bush is garbage. But I like this album quite a lot. It's probably my favorite album, and that's cliche to say, but it's the best. It's the best collection of material they have. It doesn't. Some of my favorite songs aren't on this album, but it's the best album as a whole. I do not like the second Bush album. In fact, I think I hate it. This Razorblade Suitcase, and the only thing that I liked from Razorblade Suitcase, I hate Swallowed, but I liked the remix of Mouth that was used in American Werewolf in Paris, and it was on their Deconstructed album, I think. But Science of Things was good. It kind of took they started using little bits of loops and synths, and kind of gave it a industrial polish, but they weren't industrial at all. And that was the one that had Chemicals Between Us and War Machine. and Letting the Cable Sleep, and that's a good album. And even Golden State, which no one seems to know exists. That was the fourth Bush album. It had People That We Love, and there was another single, and I don't remember what it was called. Head Full of Ghosts? Or Superman? I don't remember. But that album is good as well. That one kind of went back. It didn't have the electronic industrial polish, but it was a good rock album. I think by that point people were just not all that interested in Bush anymore. Fucking Chemicals Between Us kind of created a divide between the old fans and the new Bush fans, and then when Golden State came out, it wasn't what Science of Things was. It kind of rubbed people the wrong way, and then they just disappeared. And then Rosdale had a very uninteresting solo career. But let's see here. Wish from The Cure. I really like The Cure, and I've gotten into them considerably right alongside Killing Joke, who I need albums from. I don't think I have any albums from Killing Joke. But, I've been getting into both of them quite a bit, and I'm trying... This one has Friday I'm in Love, and I don't really care for that song. I don't really like that song, I don't really like Love Song, and I don't really like, Just Like Heaven. But, this album is really good. Fucking... Yeah, it doesn't help that I'm looking down and I'm trying to figure out what songs are on this. High, I know I really like, and I like End, I like Open, and From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea. I'm pretty sure I just like the whole thing, but I can't think of what the other songs sound like right now. But no, I do like The Cure quite a bit, and this was actually the period of time, this was the album that was close enough released with when they did Burn for the Crow soundtrack, which is probably my favorite Cure song. Also another cliche thing to say, but I don't care. It's an awesome fucking song. But yeah, I like this album quite a bit, and I like the one... I can't remember if Blood Flowers was the one that came closest to it. I feel there was another 90s... Oh! I'm being stupid. The controversial one that no one admits to liking except I like. The one that has Strange Attraction and fucking... Wild Mood Swings. That was the one that came after this. I really like that album. I really like this album. And most Cure things that I have heard I like. That aren't... the latest album I didn't like. I think it was 413 Dream. And the very first album, The Boys Don't Cry, I didn't like that album. But almost everything else I've heard I enjoy. Like, I like The Cure. They are a bit too sappy to play around other people sometimes, but it's whatever. Slow Burn. I believe this is actually the only release from this band. I had a friend who was really into, probably still is, he was really into a lot of the stoner metal, stoner rock, desert rock shit, and he showed me a bunch of bands at the same time, and he showed me like Screaming Trees and Corrosion of Conformity and and Sun and Earth, and although Sun and Earth could arguably be a little bit more drone, he showed me these guys as well. And I hadn't realized until I looked this album up that this was I'm pretty positive that this is the only release this band ever had. And I think there's members of other bands in this band who are important in the scene. But I was surprised to see, like, they only have 4 songs. So this band existed, had 4 songs, and I happened to find it at a thrift store somewhere. But yeah, so the two songs I can remember, which are Pilot the Dune and July, I really liked. So I look forward to re-listening to the other ones. Speaking of desert rock, Screaming Trees. This is actually the album that came after the album that I've forgotten the name of that has Nearly Lost You on it. But I did know, I know you guys don't like me looking down at shit. Oh, never mind. This is the one with Nearly Lost You on it. What was I thinking of? Oh. But this also has Shadow of... Thing is, I think I have a burned copy of the one that comes after this. But I had kind of, without looking at the back, although it says on the front, featuring Nearly Lost You. But it also has Shadow of the Season on it, which I actually think I like more than Nearly Lost You. But this is a really good album, and definitely they were part of that whole desert rock scene that Corrosion of Conformity was part of. The thing is, I look at this and I'm trying to remember if this just kind of got accidentally thrown in this pile, but I don't see anything else. Because I feel this I've had this for a while sitting here. So if I've already shown this before, I apologize. Cutlass. It's a Christian metal band along the lines of like POD, Blindside, and Project 86. I did check, like I just picked this up because I remembered the name, and I did check out half the album. And if for fans of not rap heavy nu metal, you might be into this. They kind of sound like is surprising because they're Christian. Whoops. They sound like a less whiny Linkin Park. Like, they don't sound bad, minus the rapping. They don't sound bad. They're coherent musicians. The vocals are fine. Yes, the religious overtones are quite strong with them, but I don't particularly care about that. It doesn't bother me. Except when it becomes like gospel music, then I don't want to listen to that. But yeah, Cutlass. I liked Cutlass, the little bits that I heard. Another one-hit wonder from the 90s, and I only know the one hit. Space Hog, Resident Alien. They did In the Meantime. Also, this album is weird because I picked it up from the used CD store. I don't know if you can see this, but there you go. You can probably angle that. Yeah, there's a slice through that. It didn't affect the CD or anything. Oop, cover's broken though. But yeah, they look like Oasis. So they look like douchebags. But I like In the Meantime. And so I look forward to seeing if they have anything else interesting. This is an album I actually used to own. Hoobastank. The first album has Crawling in the Dark and Running Away on it. I like most of this album. Pieces and Remember Me and... wait, hold on a sec. Pieces, Remember Me, Ready for You, and Give It Back are actually my favorite songs in the album. But I really liked Crawling in the Dark and Running Away. There was only a couple songs in the album I didn't like. And then they released the one that got super popular. I can't remember the name of it. Fuck. Oh, The Reason. The Reason wasn't as bad as people thought it was because of the hit. The song The Reason, I hate that song. The song sucks. But it also had Out of Control and God damn it, Same Direction, and there was like 3 other songs, and they were harder than anything that was on the first album, and it was good. The only thing that got recognized, unfortunately, was the hit Super Poppy song, and then they kind of took that direction after that album, and I don't give a fuck about Hoobastank anymore, unfortunately, because I wanted to like them. Verve Pipe Villains. People probably know The Freshman, maybe even Photograph. The Freshman is... I know Photograph less, but I've heard it before. But The Freshman I used to hear a lot, and I do like The Freshman. It's super sad 90s pop rock song. They were kind of border on super poppy alternative rock, kind of close to like Matchbox 20, stuff like that. But yeah, the Verve Pipe was cool. I don't know if they've released anything else after that. They probably did. But speaking of one-hit wonders, EMF. These guys do not look like a band that would have done Unbelievable. You're unbelievable! Oh! Yeah, that song. So yeah, I found this sitting there. The front cover is weird looking. It looks like a kid's drawing. But yeah, I liked Unbelievable, as super cheesy as it is. But I was like, oh, I'll pick this up for $1. Why not? How bad can it be? Speaking of things I remember from the 90s, this was actually excuse me, indigestion. I actually had this on cassette tape when I was super young. And by super young, I mean like 13. Blackstreet's Another Level. I still, to this day, I don't think I've ever heard another song besides No Diggity, even though I had the cassette tape. If I listened to anything else on that cassette tape, I don't remember it. Because it was, 17 years ago? But I still liked No Diggity, so I saw this sitting on the shelf, realized the CD was still in the case, and was like, okay, yeah, I'll take Blackstreet for $1. Why not? Let's see. This is another band I know very little from, but the 2 songs I know from them I do like. It's a band called American Hi-Fi. Neither of their singles, although they were minor hits, got them very much recognition. The Art of Losing on this album got a decent amount of radio play, but Flavor of the Week from their first album got even more radio play, but I don't think anybody remembers it. Especially now. Like, it's probably long gone. But I liked both songs, and although I'd be more interested in hearing what the first album sounds like, I was fine picking this up. This one might end up being something I don't like. But I picked up the second Killers album. I had the first Killers album for a little while, and it's okay. I liked Somebody Told Me, and I liked Mr. Brightside, and there was like 1 or 2 other songs that weren't singles that I was okay with. But this one had, I believe this was the one that had When We Were Young. Yeah, this one had When You Were Young, sorry. And I used to hear it in, I want to say Rock Band. It was either Rock Band or Guitar Hero. But it was an okay song, but I saw it sitting there, and I was like, well, they're going out of business. I guess I could own that, and if I don't like it, I'll just give it to one of my friends that like really crappy pop music. Speaking of possibly crappy albums, I didn't even know these guys had a second album. Sugar Cult. They had a couple of hits with their first album. I guess this is the second album. Wow, they look like douchebags. But yeah, Sugar Cult was known for Stuck in America. Well, actually, less known for that, but that was the first single. That was the one I saw a lot in MTVX. Stuck in America, Pretty Girl, parentheses, The Way, and Bouncing Off the Walls. And I still had the first album, and I like half of it. They're kind of on the low spectrum of pop punk that I enjoy, like I'd mentioned before with like Fall Out Boy and stuff like that. But they're okay. So I saw this and I was like, yeah, fine. But I kind of have a feeling that I don't have high hopes for it. Avenged Sevenfold. This is the last Avenged Sevenfold album I actually enjoyed. And the thing is, I didn't even enjoy it that much. I've never been that crazy about Avenged Sevenfold. But I do get kind of fond memories because I saw them live when this first came out. And when they were first starting to break. It was one of the only times I've ever gone to the Webster Theater in Hartford. And I really couldn't move. I went there with a friend of mine, and she was really into Avenged Sevenfold, and I was at that point backcountry. Was hitting the waves pretty hard, and I knew Waking the Fallen quite a bit, so I was down for it, and I enjoyed them, but it was fucking packed. Like, they were going to be the next big thing, and then I'm not sure what happened. It just kind of the people got tired of them too quick. Things sold okay for them. Like, things didn't, like, I don't think they have a platinum album though. And even in this day and age, I think they're just kind of doing okay. They're probably slightly more popular than like Atreyu, but that's not really saying all that much. But yeah, I liked this album minus, actually there's a couple songs on this album I don't like, but Seize the Day I fucking hated. But I liked Beast in the Harlot a lot. I liked Trashed and Scattered. I liked Blinded in Chains a lot. And God, I can't remember if it was either Sidewinder or The Wicked End. I actually really like the font, different fonts they use for let's see if I can show that. They use a different style of font for every song on the album, and it looks kind of cool. And there's the Avenged Sevenfold skull logo thing. But yeah, of everything after this, my problem with Avenged Sevenfold after this, minus actually the single from the last album, Hail to the King. I liked that song. I thought it was cool. But I never listened to anything else, so I don't know if that album was actually good. But my problem with there was the self-titled album, there was that Diamonds and Something album. I think that was like an outtakes album, so it's not completely fair. And then there was Nightmare, and they all sucked because every song that I heard sounded like outtakes from City of Evil that weren't good enough to be on City of Evil. Like, it was just they were beating a dead horse, and it wasn't interesting at all. There was like one song on the self-titled album that I was okay with, and I didn't even like it that much. I think it was Afterlife, and only because it was like really catchy. But like the song as its own still sounded like it belonged on City of Evil, or from those sessions. It's like they wrote like 60 songs for City of Evil, and they were like, these 10 work. Let's leave the other 50 to scatter on the next few albums. But yeah, wasn't into it. But as I had said, I did like City of Evil a bit. I liked Waking the Fallen, and Sounding of the Seventh Trumpet was also alright. But let's see what we got here. This is actually an album that I didn't get used, and I bought it specifically because I really liked it. And I really liked the people on it. It's a band called Lindemann. If you can tell on the cover, or if you don't know who this is, it's the singer of Rammstein, singing in English, and the main songwriter behind melodic death metal band Hypocrisy, and kind of industrial, kind of symphonic metal band Pain. It sounds exactly what you'd think of combining the Rammstein vocalist if he's singing in English with the music of Pain. It's very heavy on the symphonic metal elements, very catchy, and the lyrics are very childish and sleazy and funny. The album's very catchy. It would probably rub some people the wrong way, especially the lead single, Praise Abort. And but I really liked it, and it's probably one of my favorite albums that came out this year. That and the which I tried to buy at the same time, but they'd sold out. The new Ghost album. I don't have to call them Ghost BC anymore. Yay! Yeah, those two albums are probably my two favorite albums of 2015 so far. But hopefully something comes up and knocks them out of the park. Looking at you, Tyranny. Let's see. Mad Season, Matchbox 20. I got this album. I don't know any other song except for one song. I know Bent. And I like Bent. That's probably my favorite Matchbox 20 song. So I was like, well, it's not the... admittedly, I do like some of the album before this that has Push and 3 AM and all those other great hits that everyone who likes harder rock loved to hear over and over again in the late 90s. That's a joke. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that album, but this one I was looking forward to because I really liked Bent. I felt it had a slightly, not dark, it wasn't as pussyish. But let's see. Speaking of pussyish, I bought this. I don't regret buying this. I'm sure it'll be enjoyable. Do you know who Robbie Williams is? Pop star from the UK. This has Millennium on it. He was most known for, not so much for the song, but for the video of a song called Rock DJ in the late 90s, because it was gory. He rips his skin off. This album had the song Millennium on it, which I used to hear a lot, and I really liked the song. For fucking pop, like, he's good, and he's a good singer. And the compositions in his songs are... complex isn't the right word, but they're layered enough where they're not boring. He doesn't seem... The songs I know from him aren't boring, and I appreciate that, especially in a pop musician. But yeah, I think that's all I got. So that probably ran a little bit long, probably longer than my other videos. Not the new metal video, though. That will forever probably be my longest video, because I don't want to do that again. But anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys again sometime soon. But